Hello, my dear friends. Hi. Okay, let's check the connection. Let's see if you are with me. Okay, I'm on. And today we will continue talking about lab booking. We have already discussed two aspects of this topic, and today we will continue because we have something else to discuss. We will talk with you today about more like specific things. We have discussed the general principles, we have discussed the functions, we have talked about the attitude to lab booking in different approaches, pedagogical approaches. Today, we will talk about a very practical thing. We will discuss the way to plan a lab book. I will show you a kind of a table that I normally use when I try to plan a good lab book and when I try to prepare the materials for what I'm going to do with my students. So normally my plan looks like that. I choose the topic that the lab book will be devoted to. And here you can see the topic about myself. And then I divide this topic into subtopics and I write them down in a table. For example, basic info, name, age, place of birth, place of living. And then we can have my appearance, my favorites, my hobbies, my school, my friends. Here I will write down the materials that we need, maybe for each subtopic. Maybe this will be some special, I don't know, crayons or markers or colored paper or pictures or whatever. So everything that I will need to create it goes into the materials section. And here in the third column, I write down the linguistic means that I need to teach my students or they need to use. So what structures I will have here, what words, everything that is about the language goes into the third column. And finally, the last part is about mini books. So here I can plan the shape and the content, what they will look like, what information I want there, how this information will be presented, and so on. So I complete the table for a lab book and then I'm ready to go on. So lab booking is extremely important for long-term school projects, but also for short-term school projects. Everything that you decide to present as a project can be nicely implemented into a lab book. So we can have a number of projects, for example, a weather journal, an excellent idea for a lab book. And in the course of time, you will practice lots of vocabulary that you need to talk about weather. Presentation of an experiment, an ideal point for CLIL. If you combine, for example, some experiments in physics and something you do in English, that will be perfect. Summer reading journal, a wonderful summer activity. Summer trip reports, ideal for summer camps, because if you have a summer camp, you're sure to go to different places. And in general, creating a lab book over summer camp is a good idea because every day you will go somewhere with kids, you will entertain them, and at the end of the day, they will have to complete a mini book about that day. An excellent idea. School's outing report. Again, the same. They go somewhere, a kind of an excursion, a guided tour, a visit to a museum, a visit to a gallery, and then we create a lab book on this topic, describing the experience and the emotions and feelings and different interesting facts that they have learned. So everything that is about a project can be a wonderful material for a lab book. What are your 7 steps to create your perfect lab book? So, step number 1, choose a topic. If you choose a good topic, which is practically easy to implement, you will be successful. Then find the subtopics. And here you must be a little bit cautious, because if there are few of them, it won't be very interesting. But if there are too many, you can face difficulties in organizing your lab book. So try to choose in general 5 to 8, will be a good number. Then select materials and activities that you're going to use in your lab book. Choose the most suitable mini books. Then match subtopics and mini books. Yeah, so think about the material that you want to represent and the ideal shape. Then you assemble the lab book. And the last point is that you create a good cover. So what are the materials that you can use? Actually, you can make use of very basic materials. You don't need anything special. You need pictures. This can be cutouts, clip arts, something photocopied, printed, or colored, tracing pictures, self-drawn pictures. So a whole range of pictures that you can imagine. Text. So here again, you have text. You may have text written in different ways. Freehand with pens, fountain pens, crayons, markers, done with stencils, printed and colored, so all variations are possible. And then you need a good cover, and for the cover you probably need the graphic balance. You have to think about the things that you would like to have on your cover, and actually you have to discuss it with the students, because this will be also their burst of creativity, and they will have their own suggestions. So, what are good elements for a lab book? What can you include? Well, here there are a lot of different things, and they will all look nice in a lab book. They will be interesting to discuss. They will be interesting to touch, to share, to tell stories about. So you can have poems, you can have songs, timelines with events, summaries and bibliography, flashcards, jigsaw puzzles with different shapes, calendars, recipes, banknotes and coins, real things in small envelopes. For example, if it is about a school outing, then you can have in your lab book an envelope where you keep the ticket to the museum or some memorable little things that you have found on the way. Portraits, maps. So what else can we use? Photos and postcards, graphs and charts, different symbols, stickers, and even paper dolls. All these elements will do nicely, and they will really create a kind of interactive environment for your young student to be eager to discuss, to create, and to think about it in English. How can lab books practically be applied to language learning? Yeah, so if it is not only about content-based learning, how else can we use lab books in other methodologies? So you can have topic-based lab books. For example, we have a topic of animals and we create a separate lab book. It can be a grammar-based lab book. If you're discussing a certain grammar phenomenon for some time with your students, it's a good idea to create a lab book where you will have a structure, the explanation of how the structure can be used, the diagrams, some exercises, some special materials. So it's like a combination of a student's book and a workbook, but self-created. And you can have story-based lab books, because during your summer camp days, you're sure to read some stories, and it's a good idea to create a lab book based on these stories. So, what are the steps to create a series of lab books within one course, because there is also a possibility that you will have to work in this way. If we are talking about a summer camp, then you will have like an intensive course for 2 or 3 weeks, and you can create a whole series of lab books. So you have to take a syllabus of a popular course that is appropriate in age and level. And then you have to divide the content into conversational and purely grammatic. And you have to identify those topics that would fit into one of the categories easily. Then you decide what you want to achieve with the lab book initially. So, do you want to introduce new materials? Do you want to practice something they have already learned? Do you want to consolidate something that they learned a long time ago? So identify your main goal. What are usually the worries that teachers may have? But these worries really, well, I don't want to say that they are groundless, but they are very, very easy to overcome. Many teachers do not want to try it because they say, "Oh, it looks complicated." So, it is, I agree, but you can try with using something that doesn't have many fancy things. You just start. And you can even avoid mini books, or you can use very, very simple shapes. So here, the best advice is start simple. Another doubt that is often expressed is that it looks time consuming. It does, but you can provide templates for your learners so that they do not have to do everything from scratch. You can cut out for younger kids. You can use it as a home assignment. So there are a lot of ways you can save time during your lesson and still use lab books. And then there is also another doubt. It looks like I will not be able to integrate it smoothly. Like it will be like all of a sudden. No, don't worry about it. You will be able to integrate it smoothly. The only thing that you need is just make a plan. Yeah, so here I have different shapes of mini books that we can use. Here you have types of folds. You can actually use this page. I will add the opportunity to download the slides so you can use the shapes and folds. And here I have gathered some useful links for lab booking. So here you can find some ideas, some templates that you can download, a nice selection of different lab books that you can use as an idea for your own lab books with your kids. And here it's the same. You will find a lot of templates, a lot of ideas, a lot of examples. So if you feel that this topic resonates with you, and if you are searching for new materials to use in your classroom, and especially during the summer when choosing a new student's book seems a little bit inappropriate, lab booking is a wonderful idea that you can use easily. So, my dear friends, thank you very much for being with me today. That's all for now. I will add the description to our stream, and I will think of an opportunity to help you to download the materials so that you can look through them. You can use the links and find the templates. And I hope that you will use lab booking in your work because it really helps to create a dynamic, interactive, interesting lessons which are cheap, which are effective and not very time consuming. Thank you very much, my dear all, for being with me today. And I will see you tomorrow. We are going to talk about using some artificial intelligence to help us work successfully. Thank you, and I will see you later. Bye bye.